my brother and my wife turned O'Herm into a scret. My name is Marcus. I am 32 years old, and this is the story of how I found out that my wife and my own brother were sharing a secret life right in front of me. And somehow they still convinced me that I was too sensitive whenever I felt. Something was wrong. I am not telling you this to make you hate them. I am telling you this so that if you ever feel what I felt, you do not spend months doubting your own mind, because that, more than the cheating, is what almost destroyed me. I met Jenna when I was 25. I was working in London as a junior project manager for a construction firm. Long hours, too much coffee, too little sleep. My life was spreadsheets, site visits, and delayed trains. Jenna worked in the same building, 2 floors up, in a marketing agency. I first saw her in the lobby standing near the coffee machine arguing with it. "This thing hates me," she muttered, smacking the side of it. "It only works for people in suits." I laughed. "I was in a suit. Let me try," I said. She folded her arms. "If it listens to you, I'm complaining to HR." I pressed a button. The machine whirred, spluttered, and released a perfect stream of coffee into her cup. She stared at it, then at me. "I hate it here," she said. But she smiled. We started having these little lobby conversations. 5 minutes before work, 10 minutes at lunch. We joked about clients, about deadlines, about how London rent was basically a legal scam. One rainy evening, we both stayed late. I found her sitting alone in the lobby, scrolling through her phone, looking exhausted. "No coffee machine tonight?" I asked. "It won," she said. I surrendered. I sat down opposite her. "Let me buy you an actual drink then," I said. "From a place that doesn't hate you." She raised an eyebrow. "Is this your smooth way of asking me out?" I pretended to think about it. "Yes," I said. "This is the best I've got. Please don't make me try again." She laughed. It was the kind of laugh that made people turn their heads. "Fine," she said. "One drink? If you're boring, I'm leaving after 20 minutes." She stayed for 3 hours. We talked until the bar closed. About families, about childhood, about fear, about what we really wanted from life. By the time we said goodnight, I knew I wanted to see her every day. And I did. We started dating. Late night texts turned into early morning calls. Weekend walks turned into weekend trips. She met my mom. She met my younger brother, Liam, too. That part is important. Liam is 4 years younger than me. Growing up, he was the golden child, the funny one, the charming one, the one teachers liked even when he hadn't done his homework. I was the responsible one, the quiet one, the "you're like a second dad to him" one. But I never resented him. He was my little brother. I watched him learn to walk. I helped him with his homework. I stood between him and bullies more times than I can count. When our dad died, I was 21. Liam was 17. I held him at the funeral while he cried so hard he could barely breathe. I promised him in that moment that I would always look out for him. I meant it. When I introduced him to Jenna, I was nervous for some stupid reason. It felt like she was meeting the last piece of my heart. We invited him over to our flat for dinner. Pasta, garlic bread, a bottle of cheap wine. He walked in, looked around, and whistled. "Wow," he said. "Big man's doing well." I shrugged. "It's rented." Jenna came out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. She smiled. "You must be Liam," she said. He grinned. "And you must be the woman who finally convinced my brother to stop working late every night." They clicked instantly. She teased him. He joked with her. It felt right. My worlds were blending, my girlfriend and my brother laughing together in my tiny living room. If you had told me then that one day they would become the source of my deepest pain, I would have called you insane. 2 years later, Jenna and I got married. Small ceremony. Close family. Simple suits. A little church with old wooden pews and windows that rattled when the wind hit them. Liam was my best man. He stood beside me at the altar, straightening my tie, whispering, "Don't faint, yeah? Mom will blame me." Jenna walked down the aisle, and for a moment everything went quiet in my head. No deadlines, no noise, no worry, just her. We said our vows, we stumbled over a few words and laughed in the middle. People cried. People cheered. At the reception, Liam gave a speech. He raised his glass and said, "Marcus, you've been looking after me my whole life. Now you've finally let someone look after you." Jenna, welcome to the chaos. Everyone laughed. He hugged us both. Someone took a photo. Sometimes I look at that photo now and feel physically sick. We moved into a semi-detached house just outside London. Not huge, not fancy, but it had a small garden and a kitchen big enough for both of us to cook in at the same time. We argued about how to load the dishwasher. We fought over the duvet. We made up in the morning. We were a normal married couple. Liam came round often. He'd bring takeaway. He'd crash on the sofa after nights out in the city. He helped me put up shelves. He helped Jenna put together furniture when I was working late. It never occurred to me that I should worry about that. Why would I? He was my brother. She was my wife. These were supposed to be my safest people. The changes did not come suddenly. They crept in quietly. At first, it was Jenna's phone. She used to leave it anywhere, on the arm of the sofa, on the kitchen counter, on the bed. Sometimes I'd shout, "Your phone's ringing," and she'd yell back, "Ignore it, they'll call again if it's important." Now, it never left her hand. When she put it down, it was always face down, always on silent, always close. One evening we were watching a series together. Her phone buzzed. She picked it up so fast you would have thought it was a bomb. She turned slightly away from me, thumbs moving quickly. "Who's that?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Just work," she said. She locked the phone, put it face down on her lap. She didn't look at me when she answered. Then there were the girls' nights. She had friends from work. I knew their names. I'd seen them tagged in photos together. At least I used to. Now, when she said, "I'm going out with the girls," there were fewer photos, fewer tags, fewer stories. One Friday evening, she came downstairs in a black dress I had never seen before. It hugged her body in a way that made my chest tight. Her hair was curled, her makeup heavier than usual. New perfume, sharper, stronger. "Wow," I said. "You look incredible." "Thanks," she said quickly, adjusting an earring. "I'm running late." "Who are you going with?" I asked. "The girls," she replied. "Which ones?" She frowned. "Does it matter, Marcus? You don't know them that well." Something in her tone stung. "I was just asking," I said softly. "Well, don't," she snapped. Then, softer, "I'm just stressed, okay?" She kissed my cheek, grabbed her bag, and left. The door closed. The house felt twice as empty as it should have. I tried to play a game on my phone, tried to push the thoughts away. But the image of her walking out the door in that dress stayed in my head. At 1 in the morning, she still wasn't home. At 1:30, I heard a car door outside. The front door opened. Quiet footsteps. She came up the stairs, trying not to make them creak. I pretended to be asleep. She slid into bed. Her skin was cold. I smelled alcohol and perfume that wasn't hers. I lay there, eyes closed, heart racing, biting my tongue so hard I thought it might bleed. Soft, pained. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want to be that husband. I wanted to trust her. So I chose silence. Again. If the story had only been about Jenna, it would have hurt. But involving Liam, that tore something deeper. It started so subtle that I almost feel stupid looking back. Little things. I'd walk into the room and find them laughing together at something on her phone. The moment I appeared, the laughter died. They'd changed the subject. If we were all watching TV, sometimes I'd catch them exchanging a quick look. Not a long stare. Just a brief flicker. A shared thought. One Saturday afternoon, I came home from running errands earlier than planned. I unlocked the front door and heard voices in the living room. Jenna and Liam. They were talking quietly, the TV playing some background show. I walked in. They were sitting on opposite ends of the sofa. Fine. That was fine. But Liam's body was angled slightly towards her. She was tucked up, feet under her, facing him. When I stepped into the doorway, they both shifted. Jenna straightened her posture. Liam leaned back. "Hey," I said. "Didn't know you were here, mate." "Yeah," he said, a little too quickly. "I was just dropping off that toolbox you lent me." The toolbox was on the coffee table. Closed. Untouched. I held up the bag in my hand. "I brought food," I said. "Was going to surprise you." Jenna smiled, but it looked strained. "That's nice," she said. "We were just catching up." My mind poked at me. Why did catching up sound like an excuse? That evening, after Liam left, I tried to joke about it. You two seemed deep in conversation, I said. We were just talking, she replied, eyes on her phone. About what? Marcus, she said sharply. Not every conversation needs a report. Something inside me flinched. I didn't say it did, I murmured. You just what? She cut in. You just want to interrogate me every time I talk to someone. I went quiet. I reminded myself. She's tired. She's stressed. You're overthinking. That was the mantra now. You're overthinking. You're overreacting. You're too sensitive. I heard it from her often enough that I started saying it to myself. The moment everything changed did not feel dramatic when it happened. It was a Tuesday. Ordinary. I was working from home that day. There had been a train strike. The office was half empty. My manager told us we could log in from wherever. Jenna said she had a big presentation. She left early, dressed in a smart suit, hair in a tight bun. Around 2 in the afternoon, I went downstairs to make tea. Jenna's tablet was on the kitchen counter, plugged in, screen dark. She rarely used it, mostly for Netflix in bed, but lately she'd started carrying it in her bag. If my phone dies, she said when I asked. Work stuff. I put the kettle on. As it boiled, the tablet screen lit up. A notification banner slid across the top. It was a message preview. From Liam. I froze. We don't normally text Jenna directly, I thought. That was the first thing. If he needed her, he usually called me, or we had a family group chat. The second thing was the content. I missed last weekend. When's the next time we can get some time alone? X. The X at the end punched me in the chest. I stared at the screen. The notification faded after a few seconds. My reflection stared back at me from the black glass. I looked different, smaller. I picked up the tablet. My hands were shaking. The lock screen came up. 6 digits. I tried her usual patterns. Our anniversary. Her birthday. No luck. My heart was pounding. I felt like I was doing something wrong. But what was more wrong? Trying to see the truth or ignoring that message? The kettle screamed behind me. I flinched, turned it off. I put the tablet down exactly where it had been. For the next 3 hours, I didn't do much work. I just stared at my screen while my mind replayed that notification on a loop. I missed last weekend. Time alone. X. When Jenna came home that evening, she looked tired. I looked broken. Hey, she said, dropping her bag by the door. What's for dinner? We need to talk, I said. The words came out flat. Empty. Her eyes widened just a fraction. About what? Liam messaged you, I said. She reached for her bag immediately, like her body moved before her brain did. On your tablet, I added. She paused. What did you see? She asked, slow, cautious. I saw enough, I said. I saw him ask when you'd get time alone again. I saw him say he missed last weekend, and I saw the little X at the end. Her face went pale, then red, then carefully blank. You enter my tablet, she said. It lit up in front of me, I replied. I didn't unlock anything. I didn't go digging. It was just there. You had no right to read it, she snapped. I'm your husband, I said, my voice still eerily calm. If my brother is messaging you about spending time alone and missing last weekend, I think I have some right to be concerned. She crossed her arms. You're jumping to conclusions, Marcus, she said. You do this all the time. All the time? I repeated. How many times has this happened exactly? You twist everything into something ugly, she continued, ignoring my question. You always assume the worst about me. That's not true, I said quietly. I've been assuming the best for months. I've been assuming you were tired, stressed, busy. I assumed you and Liam were just close. I assumed I was crazy. Voice tightened slightly, but if nothing is going on, Jenna, then show me. Unlock the tablet. Show me the chat. Her hand tightened around the strap of her bag. No, she said. Why not? Because I don't owe you proof of my innocence every time you decide to be paranoid. There it was again. Paranoid. Sensitive. Overreacting. Only this time, there was a message to back me up. I took a breath. Okay, I said. Then let me ask you something simpler. I looked her in the eye. What happened last weekend? She looked away. Her jaw clenched. I told you, she said. I went to that spa day with Emma from work. I showed you the voucher. You showed me the email, I said. Not a single photo, not a single tag story, not even a receipt in your purse. Not even a receipt in your purse. Not everything has to be posted online, she shot back. I agree, I said. But it's funny that the one weekend my brother mysteriously stayed at a mate's place is the same weekend you went off the grid. She flinched. You're being insane, she said. You're connecting dots that aren't there. Liam and I. She tripped over the words. Oh, I murmured. There it is. She sank into a chair. Her shoulders sagged. For a moment, I saw the fight leave her. Did you sleep with him? I asked. The question hung between us. She stared at the table, at her hands, at anything but me. Answer me, I said softly. Her voice was so quiet, I barely heard it. Yes. The word cracked something inside my chest. How many times? I asked. She shook her head. I don't know, she said. A few. It just happened. I laughed once. A bitter, humorless sound. It just happened, I repeated, like tripping over a curb. It wasn't planned, she insisted, tears forming in her eyes. We were both drinking. We were talking. We were talking about you, actually. How stressed you've been. How distant. You cheated on me with my brother, I said. And you want me to know you were talking about my stress? She covered her face with her hands. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. How long? I asked. How long has this been going on? Since around New Year, she said. I did the maths in my head. Months. Months of lies. Months of girls' nights. Months of calling me paranoid when my body knew something was wrong. Do you love him? I asked. She froze. No, she said too quickly. Don't lie, I said. My voice finally cracked. You've done enough of that already. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I don't know, she said. I don't know what I feel. It felt exciting. Wrong, but safe because it was Liam. Someone I trusted. Someone I trusted. That part punched me harder than anything. I left the house and went straight to Liam's flat. I didn't text. I didn't call. I knocked once and then used the spare key I still had. He was in his living room, in joggers and a t-shirt, watching something on TV. When he saw me, he jumped up. Hey man, he said. What's up? You and my wife, I said. The color drained from his face. Oh, he said. I'd heard that exact same oh in my head earlier, imagining how this might go. Hearing it out loud made me feel sick. How long? I asked. Marcus, how long? I repeated. He swallowed. Since New Year, he said. Same answer. Same timeline. Why? I asked. He rubbed the back of his neck. I don't know, he said. We were just close. We were both lonely. You were never around. One night we drank too much and don't. I cut in. Don't say it just happened. It didn't just happen. You chose it. You chose it again. And again and again. He looked down. I'm sorry, he said. I never meant for it to get this far. That sentence, I said slowly, means nothing to me. You didn't mean for it to get this far, but you meant it every time you called her, every time you texted her, every time you met her, every time you touched her. You meant it when you came into my house, ate my food, called me your brother. His eyes were shiny. I messed up, he whispered. Messed up? I said. You didn't forget to pay a bill, Liam. You slept with my wife. He flinched. I was in a bad place, he said. I've been struggling. You know that. I felt invisible. And she understood. She listened. One thing led to another. It always does, I said. When you step over the line. He opened his mouth to say something else. I held up a hand. I'm not here to understand you, I said. I'm here to tell you this. You are not my brother anymore. His eyes widened. Come on, man, he said. You don't mean that. I never meant for it to get this far, I replied coldly. Funny how that sounds when someone throws it in your face, isn't it? He looked like he'd been slapped. You're all I've got, he said quietly. No, I said. You had me. You had a brother who would have done anything for you, and you used what you knew about me to hurt me in the worst way you could. He wiped his face. Is there anything I can do? He asked. Yeah, I said. Leave me alone. I walked out. He didn't follow. Going back to the house felt like walking into a crime scene. Jenna was sitting at the kitchen table. Her eyes were red. Her hands were wrapped around a mug she was not drinking from. She looked up. "How did it go?" she whispered. "He admitted it," I said. "Same timeline, same excuses." She squeezed her eyes shut. Are you going to stay?" she asked. The question hit me harder than I expected. Stay. In the house where they had been together. In the bed where I had been sleeping beside someone who was thinking about someone else. In the life that now felt like a set built for a show I didn't know I was in. "I don't think I can," I said. Her face crumpled. "We can fix this," she said. "We can go to counseling. I'll block him. I'll never speak to him again. I'll do anything, Marcus. Please." Tears burned my eyes, but I didn't let them fall just yet. "I believe you're sorry," I said quietly. "But I don't trust you. And I don't trust him. And I don't trust myself in this house anymore. I ignored my instincts for months. I don't want to keep doing that." She stood up, walked around the table, and dropped to her knees in front of me. "Please," she whispered. "Don't leave me. Don't throw away everything we've built." I looked down at her hands clutching my knees. "You threw it away the moment you decided my back was a safe place to hide behind," I said. "You threw it away the moment you let me think I was paranoid instead of telling me the truth." I stood up gently. She let go. "I need space," I said. "I need to figure out who I am without your voice in my head telling me I'm crazy every time I notice something." I packed a bag, clothes, toothbrush, a few important documents. As I zipped it up, Jenna appeared in the doorway. "Is this it?" she whispered. "For now," I said. "I don't know about the future, but I know I can't heal here." She covered her mouth with her hand to stop a sob. "I love you," she said. I looked at her for a long time. "I loved you enough to trust you completely," I said. "You loved me enough to lie to my face." "Those aren't the same thing." I walked out. The front door closed behind me. For a second, I almost turned back. Then I took a deep breath and kept walking. I moved into a small flat above a noisy shop on a busy road. The walls were thin. The upstairs neighbor played loud music. The kitchen window looked out onto a brick wall. But it was mine. No secrets. No hidden messages. No hushed laughter stopping when I entered the room. The first weeks were brutal. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, reaching for someone who wasn't there. I'd see something funny and think, "I should send this to Liam," then remember. I'd walk past a couple holding hands and feel empty. I questioned everything. Was I not enough? Should I have seen it sooner? Was it my fault for working late? But every time I started to blame myself, I remembered the details. The hidden phone. The changed passwords. The message on the tablet. The "you're paranoid" every time I dare to ask a question. I started seeing a therapist. I walked in expecting to be told I'd overreacted. Instead, he listened quietly and said, "Your body picked up on the truth long before your mind allowed you to accept it." That sentence changed something in me. My instincts weren't the enemy. They were trying to protect me. I had just been trained to ignore them. Slowly, I built new routines. I went to the gym. I cooked for myself. I read books I'd been too busy to open before. I stopped checking Jenna's social media. Stopped checking Liam's. Blocked both when the urge became too strong. I started to like my own company. Not all the time. Not perfectly. But more than before. I realized how much of my self-worth I had placed in being a good husband and a good brother. Those roles mattered, but I had forgotten to be good to myself. If you're listening to this, and parts of my story make your stomach twist, if you've seen a phone flipped face down every time you walk into the room, if you've been called paranoid, too sensitive, or insecure every time you ask a simple question, I want you to hear me clearly. You are not crazy. You are not dramatic. You are not asking for too much when you ask for honesty. There is a big difference between being controlling and being curious. Who are you going with? What time will you be home? Why did you lie about where you were? Those are not unreasonable questions when you share a life, a house, a bed. If someone reacts to those questions with anger instead of reassurance, pay attention. If they make you feel guilty for noticing, pay attention. If they keep using your anxiety against you, pay attention. Cheating is not just the moment their bodies cross a line. It is the deleted messages, the private jokes you're not allowed to hear, the defensive tone when you mention a certain name, the way they say, you always make everything negative, when you're simply trying to understand. You deserve to live in a reality where you don't have to constantly question your own eyesight, where you don't have to rehearse your sentences in your head so you don't sound crazy, where you can say, this feels wrong, and be heard instead of mocked. Walking away does not mean you failed. It means you chose truth over comfort, self-respect over fake peace, healing over slow emotional death. My name is Marcus. My wife and my brother betrayed me. They turned my home into their hiding place. For a while, I thought that meant I was unlovable, weak, pathetic. Now I know the truth. All it means is that I was capable of loving deeply, and I gave that love to people who were not capable of holding it. That is not my shame to carry. It's not yours either. One day, you will look back at the version of you who stayed, who doubted themselves, who believed the lies, and you will feel compassion, not disgust, because that version of you did the best they could with the information they had. Now you know more. Now you see more. Now you can choose differently. You are not crazy. You are not too much. You are not imagining things. You are simply finally willing to see what is real. And that is the first step to building a life where you never again have to apologize for noticing the truth.